Hi, and welcome to video number 4 of the Anonymind Self-Help Sessions. Today we're going to be talking all about how we can manage thoughts and urges to gamble. You may remember from the previous video I discussed the gambling triangle. On that gambling triangle, thoughts and urges to gamble were one of the vital ingredients for gambling to occur. Remember, if we take away any of the elements from the gambling triangle, gambling cannot occur. So it's really important to have ways of managing or resisting urges and thoughts to gamble when you do notice them happening. Before we discuss thoughts and urges in more detail, I wanted to remind you that here at Anonymind we have different types of support to best support you in achieving your goals. As well as these self-help videos, we also have the opportunity to meet with a psychologist or therapy professional who can meet with you on a confidential video call to help support you towards your goals. If you think that will be beneficial, then follow the link and we'll arrange an appointment to happen in a matter of days. So back to thoughts and urges. To understand why we have thoughts and urges to gamble or engage in any behaviour that we know is probably not good for us, it's useful to think about how the brain works. The brain is an incredibly complicated, complex and sophisticated system. And what we know about the brain is that it's split up into various areas, and different areas of the brain specialise in doing different things. For example, one part of the brain specialises in controlling physical movement. Another part of the brain specialises in generating words or understanding language. What we also know is that the brain is split into 2 areas that's going to be really important to understand for today's video. The first part of the brain that we need to understand is a part deep within the brain called the limbic system. This part of the brain is responsible for making quick, often emotionally driven decisions. It's an impulsive and reactive part of the brain that works very quickly and does not engage in detailed thought or reflection before triggering an impulse. This part of the brain is also more responsive to short-term rewards. The second part of the brain that's important for today's video is at the front of the brain, called the prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain is more specialised for complex, analytical thinking. If we need to make decisions by weighing up complicated pieces of information, the prefrontal cortex will be particularly activated. This part of the brain is also central in our ability to resist impulses or delay actions. So if you've ever found yourself in a conversation with someone and noticed negative or judgmental thoughts come to your mind about the person you're talking to, but you've never expressed those words directly to them, the reason is your prefrontal cortex is stopping you doing that. You know that saying those words would probably be unhelpful, and your prefrontal cortex puts the brakes on that impulse to say something inappropriate. These 2 parts of the brain are vital for understanding gambling urges and thinking about how we start to resist those. Understanding these parts of the brain can help us start to understand gambling behaviours and urges. For example, if you have a strong urge to gamble, even when the prefrontal cortex part of your brain knows that that would probably be a bad idea, you can be sure that those urges and thoughts are being driven by your limbic system. That's why as human beings, we often have urges to do things that another part of our brain knows would be unhealthy or unhelpful. We literally have 2 different parts of the brain trying to influence our behaviour. So now to answer the question of how we manage those thoughts and urges when they do occur. The answer to this lies in the knowledge that thoughts and urges don't last forever. I know it might feel that way sometimes when you're in the throes of a strong urge to do something. It feels like the only way of getting rid of that urge is to act it out. But scientists and psychologists have shown that urges to follow habits or strong behaviours are a bit like a wave. They can come in forcefully with power and influence, but left to their own devices without acting on those urges, the wave does recede and weaken in its strength. The two strategies I'll be discussing today for managing urges rely on the knowledge that if we don't act on it, it will eventually pass. The first strategy I wanted to discuss was distraction. If you know that your urge or thought about gambling will pass or weaken with time, then engaging in some activity that will distract your mind and your body from the urge and thought will be an effective strategy. It's important that the distraction activity you choose is something you can throw your whole body and mind into. For example, if you're comfortable with physical exercise, then rigorously exercising using high intensity methods could be a really effective way of occupying yourself whilst you wait for that urge to pass. Alternatively, spending time in the company of friends or family members, people who are not associated with gambling environments, might be another effective way of distracting your mind and body whilst you wait for that urge to pass. That can be even more effective if the people you're with know of the efforts you're making to overcome your gambling. To hear more about how relationships can be used to overcome gambling and for you to achieve your goals, please watch video number 5. The other strategy for resisting urges and thoughts to gamble is almost the opposite of distraction. This is something psychologists call mindful urge surfing. This is based on the idea that we are not our thoughts and feelings and urges. Whilst they are a part of us and a part of our experience, they do not define us. Mindful urge surfing allows us to become an observer of the thoughts and feelings we have in our body and our mind, whilst knowing that we have the choice to resist those things. Using mindfulness exercises, we can start to step back from thoughts, feelings and urges and become more aware that those experiences do not have to be acted upon. A useful metaphor for thinking about that is to consider yourself the driver of a bus. Imagine you're the bus driver and you've got several passengers on board. Those passengers are your thoughts, feelings, urges and judgments, all the things that you may experience in your mind every minute of the day. Imagine those passengers are saying to you to gamble, or to go to a gambling environment, or to access money to spend on gambling. It is your choice of the driver of the bus to respond to those voices and thoughts and urges and ideas in any way you see fit. They are a part of your experience, but they do not have to be acted upon. Using mindfulness exercises to tune into your body and mind, whilst maintaining the position of observer, can be a really powerful tool to create more distance between yourself and the thoughts and urges you experience. I've recorded a mindfulness exercise that can help you practice becoming an observer of your thoughts and feelings without the need to act on those impulses. I hope you get the chance to look at the video through the Anonymind website, and I hope that that can be a helpful part of you achieving your goals. Thanks for listening and good luck.